At the inception of Pokémon TCG, drawing all 6 of your prize cards could be equated to knocking out 6 of your opponent's Pokémon, since one Pokémon was worth 1 prize card. Although prize cards are one of the most basic and core mechanics of the Pokémon trading card game, things did not stay this simplistic forever. Deck building and gameplay strategies were formed on this simple concept. Knock out 6 Pokémon, take 6 prize cards, win the game. Many players would build decks around Pokémon with powerful attacks to efficiently knock out opposing Pokémon in as few attacks as possible. Some would choose Pokémon based on their high amounts of HP to survive multiple hits, often healing damage and outlasting the opponent. Others would prefer speedy, basic Pokémon, which required minimal setup and could start dishing out meaningful damage as early as the first turn of the game. To keep strategies evolving, the designers have manipulated the prize card mechanics of the game from time to time. In the Generation 3 debut set, EX Ruby and Sapphire, new ultra-rare cards called Pokémon EX were introduced. Pokémon EX functioned like a normal Pokémon card, except they had more powerful attributes ranging from heightened HP, stronger attacks, and enhanced effects. In exchange for being more powerful than the average Pokémon, Pokémon EX cards awarded 2 prize cards when knocked out. This was a major shift for the overall strategy and pace of the game. Winning the game still required taking 6 prize cards, but that was no longer guaranteed to equate to 6 knockouts. Based on the cards in your opponent's deck and the decisions made on each side, you could knock out as few as 3 Pokémon EX to take 6 prize cards and win the game. The most common occurrence during the EX era was knocking out a mixture of regular Pokémon and EX Pokémon. Some decks focused heavily on using EX Pokémon, while others completely omitted this new and powerful type of card to force their opponent to take 6 individual knockouts and win the old-fashioned way. Some decks even capitalized on the new EX Pokémon by countering EX-centric decks with regular Pokémon and cards that punished overuse of EX Pokémon. The diversity, skill expression, and excitement of the Pokémon trading card game reached new heights during the Ruby and Sapphire through Power Keepers era with the EX Pokémon cards. 16 years after Pokémon EX were introduced, the Sun and Moon expansion Team Up marked the birth of Tag Team GX Pokémon, which were worth 3 prize cards when knocked out. Just how far had we strayed from the simplicity of base set Pokémon cards? The 2 prize Pokémon EX of the mid-2000s are often revered as some of the most balanced and enjoyable cards of the game's history, while the 2012 iteration of Pokémon EX were less than desirable as they ushered in the wave of big basic Pokémon that all but eliminated evolution from the game for a time. If I've learned anything from the history of this game's card design, it's that overpowered basic Pokémon should be developed with extreme caution. Tag Team GX were basic Pokémon with massive HP and explosive attacks. This new type of card produced many strong combinations of Pokémon worth 1, 2, and 3 prize cards, all in the same deck, potentially making gameplay more interesting than ever. The team-up set included 6 Tag Team GX cards, 5 of which saw competitive play. These Tag Team GXs were so powerful because they were all basic Pokémon with incredible stats. Having effects like Gengar and Mimikyu Tag Team's Horror House GX attack on a basic Pokémon that needs minimal preparation to use was the looming problem with these new cards. Tag Team GX Pokémon took up less deck space and less time to set up, which naturally began power creeping evolution Pokémon out of the competitive environment almost entirely. While the team-up standard format was diverse and healthy, the metagame became increasingly focused around these 3 prize behemoths as later Sun and Moon sets were released with more Tag Team GX Pokémon cards. The final Sun and Moon TCG expansion, Cosmic Eclipse, included 9 new Tag Team GXs. Reshiram and Zekrom Tag Team GX was hyped to be the Tier 1 contender of the set, but fell flat in the standard format, mostly seeing some fringe success in the expanded format. Arceus and Dialga and Palkia Tag Team GX, another Dragon-type tag team from the set, received mixed reviews on release, and many players were skeptical of how viable it could be. Arceus and Dialga and Palkia Tag Team, commonly referred to as ADP, boasted a massive 280 HP with one regular attack and a GX attack that could be used once per game. The GX attack, Altered Creation, costs 1 metal energy and reads, "For the rest of the game, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. If this Pokemon has at least 1 extra water energy attached to it in addition to this attack's cost, when your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from those attacks, take 1 more prize card." The effect is a wall of text, so let me simplify it for you. If you have metal and water energy attached to ADP, and you use Altered Creation GX, your attacks do 30 more damage, and your knockouts take 1 extra prize card for the rest of the game. Not only did Tag Team Pokemon introduce Pokemon worth 3 prize cards when knocked out, but ADP essentially turned regular Pokemon into 2 prize cards, GX Pokemon into 3 prize cards, and Tag Team Pokemon into 4 prize cards. This had the potential to warp the speed of the game and completely alter the concept of how many attacks it took to draw all 6 prize cards. As a lifetime player, the tag team mechanic as a whole and the Altered Creation GX attack left me worried that the Pokemon trading card game might never be the same again. Cosmic Eclipse's first international event was LAIC 2019. The top 8 of this event, like most events of this time, was dominated by tag team Pokemon. Robin Schultz won the event with Reshiram and Charizard Tag Team, which was an extremely powerful card throughout its entire standard format lifespan. Other tag teams in the top 8 of this event included Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team, Giratina and Garchomp Tag Team, and of course, ADP. Giovanni Paragallo's 3rd place ADP list consisted of several attackers to make use of after applying Altered Creation's blanket effect for the remainder of the game. ADP had found itself at the front and center of a Tier 1 archetype, but it wasn't an oppressive force. At least not yet. Shortly after, the Sword and Shield base set was released, and with it came Zashin V, one of the most powerful cards ever printed in the Pokemon trading card game. Zashin V's ability could accelerate energy and draw cards, and since Zashin is a basic Pokemon, this ability could be used on the very first turn of the game. Not only did Zashin provide this incredible utility, but its attack Brave Blade did a ton of damage. Zashin V checked all of the boxes of a great Pokemon card. Solid HP, high damage, card draw, and energy acceleration. It also happened to share an energy type with ADP. ADP Zashin took up 30 spots of the top 64 at the first international event Zashin V was legal for. This archetype quickly became an issue since it gatekept decks which opted not to utilize big rulebox Pokemon. Players that chose to force their opponents through 6 individual knockouts were now forced into an accelerated prize race via Altered Creation, making all of their regular Pokemon cards now worth 2 prizes. Not only did ADP gatekeep single prize decks, it also punished players for using the best consistency cards available, the Dene GX, Crobat V, and Eldegoss V. These support Pokemon, which helped just about any deck function, were now a 3 prize card liability thanks to Altered Creation. Playing down just one of these Pokemon could cost you half of the game, if we equate your opponent taking half of their prize cards to half of the game being lost. Once Boss's Orders was released, players had an easy-to-use Gust option for bringing benched Pokemon into the active position. With ADPZ being the most popular and most successful deck, the standard format quickly became as simple as Altered Creation, Boss KO, GG. In the event your opponent was playing 0 rulebox Pokemon, the game could end after Altered Creation and the 3 preceding knockouts. Ironically, the card that altered the original creation of the Pokémon TCG was the creator of all Pokemon, Arceus. Both a gift and a curse, the official Pokemon TCG circuit was put on hiatus during the global pandemic of 2020, which left the combination of ADP and Zashin to run rampant in online events, but never appear at a World Championships. Although the ADPZ deck was mostly an issue for the online circuit, aside from the handful of pre-pandemic international events it was legal for, and a few events in the Asian circuit, I truly hope the developers of the Pokémon TCG realize how devastating this card, and by extension all tag team Pokémon, were to the integrity of the Pokémon trading card game. The effects of Tag Team GX are still present in today's card design. Pokémon V and VMAX in the Sword and Shield sets needed to be strong enough to at least match the power that Tag Team Pokémon were given. Pokémon V-Star started to bring the power level back down later in the Sword and Shield era, and now we are entering the Scarlet and Violet block with hope on the horizon in the form of revitalizing the original EX mechanic. Will we ever return to a game without 3 prized Pokémon and their ripple effects being felt through future card design? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.